Okay. Right. So welcome. And I've titled it Achieve IELTS Reading Band 8 in 50 minutes. I know for many students, the issue around reading is completing it in the time. And actually, I think there is plenty of time to do the reading, and it is quite possible to achieve an 8 and even a 9 if your skills are good enough. In 50 minutes. Right. Make sure you're muted, please. Okay. So let me share with you some of the things. These are the three main things that I feel stop people from A, achieving a high band, and B, managing to do that in the time available. So the first reason is clearly managing the time, and that can cause a lot of people to go into a spin. The second is that quite often there are certain question types that people find trickier than others. And it's clear that if you want to get a band 8, you need a high score. You need to be scoring 34, 35 in academic and 36, 37 in general training. So if there are certain question types, and those would typically be maybe the yes or not given, for example. If there are these question types that are causing you a problem, then if you have these types of question in your exam, there's a danger that it's going to reduce your score. And I'm sure when you're going through readings, you'll probably find that where you have 2 lots of yes, no, not given, for example, that might make your score drop. So it's really important that you are able to do equally well all the different types of question that you get in the reading. And then the third reason, which I think is the main reason for most people, is that there is a lack of good technique for the reading test. And if you don't have a good technique, then that will make your work slower, which affects the time. And if the technique is around certain types of question, then that's going to lower your score and also impact the time. So all these three things can have a serious effect on your reading score. So let's have a look first at managing time. Actually, there's plenty of time. I really believe this. Because the people who set this exam know what they're doing. They are expert exam setters, and they are also experts in language and language exams. So they would not set up the exam if it were not possible to do it. And if you are looking for band 8, then you should really be able to do this very quickly indeed. So I think if you tell yourself there is plenty of time, that's kind of the first step to managing the time. You will have plenty of time if you're doing it correctly and if you have confidence in what you're doing. Okay, so my advice, if you're not getting a good score, if you're not getting near your band 8, is first of all, forget the time. Just do the test. If it takes you an hour and a half, that doesn't matter. Focus on getting your answers correct. Focus on finding the answers. And in my experience, which is over 25 years, a very long time I've been doing this, I see that as students focus more on getting the right answers and getting more accuracy in their reading, the timing sorts itself out and the timing problems will disappear. And this will improve your score, obviously. So don't worry about the time in the beginning. Clearly, if you're getting close to your exam, you need to make sure you can do it in the time. But when you first start out, I wouldn't even worry about it. Okay, I have a 1-minute rule. which means 1 minute per question. And if you're taking more than a minute, you're going to get into trouble on the timing. Having said that, most questions can be done in a minute if you're clear on what you're doing. So you've got 40 questions, you've got 60 minutes. You've got a little bit of reading the rubric, reading the instructions. So it works out roughly at a minute a question. And if you can maintain that and manage that, then you'll find that you do it in 50 minutes and you've still got time left to check any that you're not completely sure about. And if you do a good job on the reading, there should be only 2 or 3 questions that you'll need to check. If you're checking all your questions or a significant number of the questions, the danger is that you will change questions that are correct. And it also points to a lack of confidence in your answers. So in that case, you need to go back to technique and make sure that you've got good technique and good skills. Okay, and this is what I'm saying. So you need to build your skill. And the 3 key things I think you need for reading are keywords, paraphrasing, and good skimming and scanning skills. Okay, before I go on, I'm just going to come and see, because I think there are a few more people who are trying to get in. Right, okay. So hopefully everything's clear so far. So if you can do these 3 things, if you're good at picking out the good keywords, paraphrasing, I think, is quite vital. So you need to be able to paraphrase, what am I looking for? And the skimming and scanning is the thing that will help you with the speed. Okay, so let's move on. So the second thing I flagged up was tricky question types. And typically these are headings, although interestingly, I noticed in book 17, there don't seem to be as many heading questions. So maybe people are getting better at that. True, false, not given, and yes, no, not given are often mentioned to me as being question types that people struggle with. And MCQ, especially if it's in passage 3. Now, before I move on to look at some of these types of question, I just want to say something about passage 3. Passage 3 is not more difficult in its content, but the questions are generally a little bit broader and a little more tricky. And that means that you may have to read more in order to get the answer. So when you're doing the reading, if you're looking for a band 8, then you should be able to do passage 1 very quickly and take less than the 20 minutes for that passage. Passage 2, again, if you can shave off 5 minutes, because that shouldn't be as difficult as passage 3. And then in passage 3, you may need a little bit more time to look for the answers. So this 1 minute per question becomes very important, because the situation you do not want to be in is to be at the end of passage 2 with 5 minutes left. And then you will lose most of the questions in passage 3. And I meet lots and lots of students who are in that situation where they have to guess a lot of passage 3 answers. And they're going to be more tricky to guess. You're better off guessing in passage 1, frankly, than you are in passage 3. So managing the time is really vital so that you get enough time to really tackle those questions towards the end of the test. Okay, so I'm going to have a look at some of these question types now. Let me just let somebody else in. Okay, so I need to change my share. Okay, I think I'll probably need to stop it and then share again, because I'm not in my normal thing. I don't know why. Right, so let's start with some headings. Okay. So this is from book 15. Can you all see that? Let me just check. Just give me a message if you can see it. Okay. Somebody said they can't hear. Have any other people got problems with hearing? It might be something to do with your microphone, so perhaps you could just do a sound check. Right, here we are. So this is from book 15, Cambridge book 15. And the first thing to do is to check whether you can use the headings more than once, because that makes it slightly more difficult. Here, it doesn't say we have to do it more than once, so that makes it a bit easier. We can see that there are 7 paragraphs and we can see that there are 10 headings. So clearly we won't do them all. So I'm just going to look here at the first 3 of the paragraphs. So I wouldn't look at these headings at all, because anything you do without a clear purpose is wasting time. So there is no purpose in looking at these because we've no idea what we're looking for. So go straight to the first paragraph, which here is A. Unfortunately, it's a nice short one. So what do we find out here? We know that there's somebody called William Jensen who was traveling in Thailand in 1990. And we also see, if we skim through quickly, that he saw that people in Thailand were using a kind of system for heating water, using a plate and then using that for water. And we also discover that later on, he remembered this idea and he created a device to purify water. So he traveled, he had an experience, and he later used it to create a new device for purifying water. So let's see if anything fits with that information. So what you need to do with the paragraphs is say, okay, what is it telling me? What is the main information? And if you think about your writing, that is how you construct your own paragraphs in writing. You have central ideas that you explore. So let's go through them. Nothing about finance. This one's possible because it was something that he remembered a long time afterwards. So I might consider that one. This one, yeah, initial inspiration. We know that's what happened. And then he made this new product. So I think that's definitely possible. Nothing about customers, nothing about other devices, nothing about cleaning water or production or profit. So these others don't fit at all. So at the moment, I'm just going to suggest these 2, okay, and move on. If there are 3 that strike you, then pick all 3. The danger of going for the perfect answer is if it's wrong, then another one is wrong. If 2 are wrong, then 4 are wrong, and so on. So it makes your score pretty risky. So if you think there are 2 that are possible, just keep them both at this point. Right, let's go on to B, and this is in 2 sections. So the first section I see here is about where the water comes from. Sea, rivers, boreholes, rain. Then it's purified using this desalinator, which is the device he invented. And so this is about where the water comes from. And in the second half of the paragraph, it tells us about places that need this device, that need this process, mostly in the UAE, in the Middle East and the Gulf. And he saw that they were spending a lot, using a lot of carbon. So there was a big carbon footprint on desalinating water, which presumably he is hoping to change with this device. So it's about where the water comes from and where it's needed. Okay, so let's go back and see what we've got there. Again, nothing financial, not unexpected, or it wasn't this one. Maybe potential customers, because it talked about UAE and it also talked about other nations in the Gulf. what makes it different from alternatives? I don't think any alternatives were mentioned. Cleaning water from a range of sources, possible, because it talked about different types of water, seawater, boreholes, etc. So that's possible. Nothing about production, nothing about profit, nothing about how people thought about it, and nothing about the number of people. It wasn't water shortages anyway. So we've now got 2 for A and 2 for B, and I'm happy. I'm not going to worry about that. So let's move on to C. Slightly longer paragraph here. So we start with some information about this device. It can produce 15 litres of drinking water a day. Then it talks about it doesn't require power supply. It's powered by sunlight. It tells us about the size of it. It tells us how it works, so about the process. And it tells us about the filters that it uses and some of the components. So how big it is, what it can do, how it works, and what the components are. So a lot about the machine. So let's see if we've got anything there. Not finance, no. No. What makes it different? Okay, I'm not sure about that, but it could be. Nothing about production, nothing about profit. So none of these fit. It looks like 5 maybe, but I don't remember anything about different from alternatives. So I'm going to go back and have another look because none of the others seem to fit to me. So let me see. Okay. Right. I see it. Unlike standard techniques, it doesn't require generated power supply. So I missed that. But from looking at the headings I've got, none of those seem to fit the paragraph. So at that point, you may need to take another look. And clearly, there is only one that fits here, which is C. So that means this one we can eliminate, but we won't eliminate the others until we've got further down. Okay, so I'm not going to look at any more headings because I want to go on and look at some other types of question. But before I do that, let me just come back and see if anybody's got any problem there. Okay. Good. So that's essentially how to do the headings. Just keep moving, get the overview, pick out which ones fit. And what you'll find is as you go through towards the end of the headings, they'll start to fit into place. And it will stop you from picking the wrong answer. Keep all your options open. And that's true for any kind of matching. Any matching at all, you need to keep those options open right to the end. Okay, let's have a look at another kind of question now, which is the MCQ. So this is also from Cambridge 15, but this time it's passage 3. And if you're doing general training, don't worry. General training techniques are exactly the same. You use exactly the same techniques for all of this. It's just with general training, the passages are slightly different. Okay, so let's have a look at some MCQ. Now, there is nothing about, using answers twice or anything, so we'll just go through the first couple. So I would only look at the question. I'm not bothered about the choices because I don't know anything about the paragraph or the passage at this moment. These are the first questions on passage 3. So when referring to laughter in the first paragraph, so that's good. We know exactly where to look. The writer emphasizes. So what I need to find out is, what does the writer emphasize about laughter in the first paragraph? So let's go and see what the writer says about that. Okay, so we see here, here's our keyword: laughter is universal across all human cultures and even exists in some form in rats, chimps, and bonobos. Okay, so we know that it's universal to all cultures and even some animals. So let's see if that's enough to answer the question. You'll do a lot of backwards and forwards on this. Right, it didn't mention anything about an impact on language at all. It is a function in human culture, but it's talking about the fact that it's in every culture. So I'm not happy about that one either. It's valuable to scientific research. I don't know. I didn't read that. And it's universal in animal societies. No, because it only is in a few animals. So that one I think is wrong. And that one I think is wrong. So I'm not sure about scientific research. Maybe I didn't read far enough. So I'm going to go back and see if there's anything about scientific research. Let's go on. Like other human emotions and expressions, provide psychological scientists with rich resources. Yes, that's it. So the answer is C. Okay, because it's clear. Right, let's move on to the second one. So what does the writer suggest? So some kind of suggestion about this person, Charlie Douglas. So let's find Charlie Douglas and see what we can find out about him. And it's in the second paragraph, I think. Right, here he is. He's a sound engineer and working in television, I think. And he didn't like the unpredictable laughter of live audiences. So he made his own manufactured laugh tracks. Okay, and they help people at home. So people who are watching television in their sitting rooms, it made them feel as though they were with other people in a social situation like a theatre. So by manufacturing the laughter, it allowed people at home to feel they were part of the audience. Right, let's see. And that's because he didn't like the unpredictability of laughter. He understood the importance of enjoying humor in a group setting. Maybe, okay, that could be. He believed that TV viewers need to be told. I don't think that was what it was about. So I'm going to reject that one. He wanted his shows to appeal to audiences across the social spectrum, different types of people, that means. I don't think it said that. He preferred shows where audiences were present in the recording studio. I think he didn't, because he didn't like it when the laughter from the audience in the studio was unpredictable. So I think that's wrong. So therefore, it's got to be A, because he talked about feeling as though you were in a theatre or with other people. Okay. Let's have a look at just one more. So what makes the Santa Cruz study particularly significant? So what we need to find out was what was special about this study. What was special or what was important about this study? So Santa Cruz should find it. And here we are. It's there. Okay. So there was a lot of different scientists, and they played recordings to people from 24 different societies at all different levels. So indigenous tribes to city dwellers in India and in Europe. So a very diverse group of people. And they were asked whether the people who were laughing were friends or strangers. And the results were consistent. So there's quite a lot of information there, but let's see what fits with our question. Okay, so various different types of laughter. I'm not sure about that. There were different people, but I don't think there were different types of laughter. Similar results produced by a wide range of cultures. I think that's true. It says at the end. that the results were consistent. A number of different academic disciplines involved. That seems to be true. There were different people involved and many kind of people whose laughter was recorded. I don't think we're really told who was laughing. We were told about the people who were listening. So I'm going to reject those two. I think B is true. But I'm just going to double check about C. Whether it was different disciplines. Played the recordings. Okay, so there were different scientists, anthropologists and biologists who played the recordings. But what does it say in the question? I'm not sure about involved here. They played the recordings, but whether they were involved in the creation, I don't know. I'm a little bit doubtful about C, so I think B is a clearer answer. So I'm going to go for B. What I might do with this question is wait until I finished and then go back and have another look and see, because these two are both possible, I think. Okay, and then finally, I want to have a look at a multiple choice. So this is on the same passage, and it's a yes, sorry, not a multiple choice, a yes, no, not given. Okay, so in yes, no, not given, we need good keywords and we need good paraphrasing skills. So let's have a look at the first one. Participants in the Santa Cruz. Now we've just looked at that for the multiple choice, so we should have the information here. Were more accurate at identifying the laughs of friends than those of strangers. Okay, so we know that the laughter came from friends and strangers and they were asked to do something about that. But were they more accurate with their friends than their strangers? I don't remember anything about that, so I'm inclined to think this is not given, but we can double check. So let's have a look. What does it say? They were asked whether they thought people were friends or strangers, and the results were consistent. But we don't know whether there was a comparison between the friends or strangers. They were just kind of pure numbers. So we don't know. Maybe they were more accurate, but we're not told. All we know is that they were asked to decide if they were friends or strangers, but whether they chose friends more than strangers is not clear. So that's now not given. We don't know. So where you don't know, it's generally not given. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. So now we're looking at the researchers in a different study, San Diego, were correct in their predictions about the behavior of high status individuals. So what we need to know is, were there researchers in a San Diego study, number one? Did they make predictions, number two, about the behavior of high status individuals? And thirdly, were their predictions correct? So there are three things we need really to find out here before we can answer the question properly. So if we find San Diego, I think I saw that earlier. Yeah, it's here. Okay. So a team led by Christopher Oves. So yes, there was a study in San Diego. That's the first question answered. Found that high status, and it was about high status individuals, had different laughs from low status individuals. And that strangers, that's something different. So what they found was that high status individuals had different laughs. So their laughs were different from low status individuals. So those were the results of the study. So let's see if that helps us answer the question. Okay. Now, is that what they expected? We didn't check that. Sometimes with yes, no, not given, because there are a few keywords there, you have to keep going backwards and forwards. So don't worry about that. Sorry, it's this one. Okay, it's actually further down, it's here. Analysis revealed that as expected, there you go. So we jumped a bit too soon. That's not unusual. I see students doing it all the time. Be careful not to then force that answer. Look carefully at the question. If it's not an absolute fit, maybe you've missed something. I missed something there. I didn't go far enough. And this is what I mean about passage 3. Sometimes you need to look further, you need to read more. So yes, as expected, everything hinges on those two words, because as expected means that they predicted this and the study proved it. So the answer to that question is yes. Whoops, sorry, I just lost it. Okay. So in that question, the answer is yes, they were correct. Okay, let me just come back. There are still a few people in the waiting room. Right, so let me get back to my presentation. Sorry, I keep having to come back to let people in. So we've looked at these 3 types of question. There may be others that you find tricky, and there are techniques for all of these questions. So once you have the technique and you know how to do it well, then you should be able to answer them all equally well, and you're on your way then to getting a perfect score. The last 3 students I've worked with who've taken the exam have all got 9 in their reading. So it is absolutely possible. Right, let's look at the skills. So the first is keywords. I think this is a really important skill in reading, especially in reading quickly. The second is skimming and scanning. And the third is paraphrasing, which I mentioned to you earlier. So I'm going to go back now to the passages that I shared before, and we'll have a look at how some of these things work. So let's start first with the headings. No, we'll start with the keywords because I'm here, so that's good. So keywords are very important, especially in yes, no, not given. So here we've got participants is a keyword, and then here is the location, the Australian National University study. That is how you find the word, the place. Santa Cruz here was the location keyword. San Diego, location keyword. Names, numbers, easy to find. Okay, so if we look at 39, we find this place, and then we want to know about the participants in this study. And we want to know if they were given a fixed amount of time to complete the task. Okay, and the task was about employee profiles. So were they given a fixed amount of time? Now, when you're looking for the place, it's important that you know that you have the other keywords in mind. the fixed amount of time, and the completion. So if you think about the one here, I had forgotten about the correct in their prediction when I got to the text, and that led me to the wrong place. So when I came back, I read the question again and realized my mistake, that I needed more information, and therefore I had to go back to the text. And this is what you should be doing. And if you're working fast, then by the time you get to these trickier questions in passage 3, you'll have time to do that. So let's see if we can find this with our keywords. So let's find Australian National University and then see whether there was a fixed amount of time given to complete the task. Right, so Australia. Here we go. Okay, so this is a study in Australia. Okay, and the test was, they performed a tedious task where they had to cross out everything. Okay, and then they watched a video, and some watched a clip of Mr. Bean, and others watched dolphins, etc. But was there any amount of time given? There's more here. After that, they had to complete a test in which they were asked to guess the performance of employees. Okay, so the software was programmed to make achieving the task impossible, and they could quit at any point. And then we find out that some spent more time than others. So it seems like there wasn't a fixed time because you could quit at any time. So there was no time restraint on this. Not that easy to find because you had to read almost the whole paragraph there, but they didn't have a fixed time, so the answer is no. So it's important that we have all these keywords so that when they come together, like in this prediction business, because I missed the as expected, which is the synonym for prediction here, it's when the words come together that you'll find the answer, and the answer will pop out. Okay, so let's have a look at some more keywords with the multiple choice. So here, which of the following? Okay, so you've got a series of choices happened in the San Diego study. So what you need to do is to find out what happened and then match it with one of your choices here. When you're doing keywords, especially in yes, no, not given, unfortunately in this particular one, there aren't any of these types of words, but things like most, many, often, in the past, in the future, all of these words should be part of your keyword. Because if you find the information, but it's talking about the future, and your question is about the past, then it's not going to be the right place. So it's when all these keywords come together that you will find the answer pops out at you. And a couple of times I hope I've demonstrated here where I thought I had all the information, but I was actually in the wrong place. So I had to go and look again with more evidence and more keywords to help me. Okay, so while we're on the yes, no, not given, I just want to quickly look at scanning. Now this is going to be easy, but we've got two names here, Chen and Wang, and we have the Australian National University, and this is scanning. So this is where you go down the text looking for a particular word. And here we are. So I found it quite easily. And we found that. Let's see if we can find a different word from the question. Let's see if we can find task performance. That's a bit more difficult. So scanning is where you have a particular word in mind and you just pull your eye down the text to find the information that you need. And I've forgotten what we were looking for. What were we looking for? Task performance. Okay. So we've got task there and completed. There we go. It's there. Okay. So the quicker you can do this, the quicker you can finish the reading and find the answers. So by just scanning through quickly and looking for specific words, that is scanning. And before I leave this test, I just want to show you paraphrasing. So let's have a look at another multiple choice. So in the 5th paragraph, what did the results of the San Diego study suggest? So what we need to find out is, were there any suggestions that came out of the study from the results? So what sort of suggestions were made by the results of that study? So you're turning the question around so that you can make it clearer in your head what you're looking at. And you can do the same with yes, no, not given. So if we go to the yes, no, not given here, I'll go back to that second one. So what we need to find out is, was there a San Diego study with researchers? Did the researchers make predictions about these high status individuals? And were those predictions correct? And if we look at the first one, what we need to find out. So whenever I do a yes, no, not given, or a true, false, not given, once I've read the question, I say, okay, what I need to find out is, were there participants in a Santa Cruz study? Because there might not have been. That kind of could be a not given question. Were those participants more accurate did they have to identify the laughs of friends and strangers? And were they more accurate at identifying the laughs of the friends? So those are, again, 3 pieces of information that you need to find out in order to answer the question, and that's paraphrasing. Okay, and then finally, I'm just going to have a look at skimming. So we'll come back to the headings. And I'll go now onto the next heading, which is section D. So remember, I'm not looking at the choices. So in this, when I skim, I'm basically just reading the content words. So I wouldn't be reading any articles, any pronouns, those. I'm just reading content. So 2/3 world population has water scarcity for at least a month. And then by 2030, half the world's population will have water stress. Okay, it's important to have a sustainable solution to come to the market, because many countries don't have money for desalination, and they don't have the money to operate them, and they don't have the money to buy the fuel. So the overview from that through my skimming is, in the future, more and more people are going to be having a problem with water. It's important to come up with solutions that are cheap and easy to run. So that's all I need to know about that paragraph. And then I can look at the headings and see which of these might fit. So let's see what we've got there. It was about not having finance, so it can't be that one. It could be this one. because the numbers are increasing. So it could be number 10. Don't know that. Don't know about. It's not about profit. It's not about production. So it's looking like 10. So we can see now that we've already eliminated with confidence 2 of the choices. And so it's getting easier to identify for the remaining paragraphs. So I think fairly soon this will all fall into place. Okay, so let me come back to the presentation. I'm going to share again. Right, let me just see if there's anybody trying to get in. I don't think so, no. Right, so we've looked at how to identify keywords, how to use them, how to skim, especially important for headings, for example, or for what others would be, maybe matching those sentences with paragraphs also, and how paraphrasing can really help you with things like MCQ and also with true, false, not given and yes, no, not given. Right. So let's recap. So the things that often hold people back are managing the time, and we've talked about making sure you only allow a minute per question, making sure that you don't read anything that's not going to help you directly, so you're not wasting time, trying to do the first passage a little bit faster and the second one slightly faster, so you have more time for passage 3. All of these time management things will help you with the timing. If there are questions that you're not sure about, work on those so that you can do them well. And then, you know, I've seen tests with 3 lots of yes, no, not given. Now, if that's something that you have problems with, it could cause you a big difficulty. So making sure that you focus on those question types that are causing you a headache. And then finally, making sure that you've got good techniques, good skimming and scanning skills, good keyword identification skills, and good paraphrasing skills. Okay. So you need to get crystal clear on what you have to do in order to improve your reading and boost those scores. Firstly, some sort of support. Now, that could be from a teacher, but it could also be from videos or online sites which will help you with specific items of reading, like skills, like different question types, like just more practice. It could be that you're not practicing enough. You need to have a plan, and that plan will be aimed at helping you manage your time, dealing with the questions that you maybe have a problem with. But whatever those issues are, you need to have a plan for solving it. If you just keep doing a reading test after a reading test after a reading test, it's random. One day you might get 7, one day you might get 8, the next day you might get 6, and I'm sure you've had that happen. So it's really important to make sure you get consistency, and you can only get consistency if you have a proper plan for improving the bits that need improving and getting enough practice. And that's what you need to do regularly. If you just do random practice now and again, it's not really going to get you to your score very quickly. And then obviously, the more you practice, the better your plan, the more support you have, the better your scores, and you will start to reach that band 8 or even 9. It's also possible. And when you're getting consistently 35, 35, 35, 36, 37, you will know that in the exam, your chances of getting that score are high, and you'll have a lot more confidence about booking it and about taking it. Okay. So now I want to tell you about how I can help you get all of these: support, plan, regular practice, higher scores, and then taking your exam confidently. So I want to tell you about IELTS Accelerator, which is a course that I've run for a few years now. It focuses a lot on reading. In the last 3 years, I've taken 20 students through this course, and all of them have got high scores in their reading. And it focuses, as I said, on the kind of things that I've been showing you today, but it doesn't just focus on that. So I will give you regular support and feedback. So that means daily, weekly for the time that the course is running. On IELTS reading, for sure, because IELTS reading is something I love. I enjoy reading, I like teaching it. And so I like working with students on reading. But I also work a lot with students on writing. So I will be checking your writing. I don't want you to go into the exam with fantastic reading scores and then have a problem with writing. So writing comes into the preparation as well. So I'll be correcting, marking your writing and helping you to improve it. And we'll also be doing speaking. So we'll have speaking sessions where we practice the speaking that you get in the exam, going through the different parts, part 1, part 2, part 3. And although listening is not a main focus, there will be listening tests for you to do and for you to practice. Now, I'm only looking at taking 6 people. I've only got space for 6 students to actually work with me throughout this course. It's a 6-week course and I want to get started on the 1st of March. And as I mentioned before, you'll have daily work to do. We will be meeting twice a week to go through all the work you've done. I will mark your writing individually. I will mark your reading individually, so that we'll be looking at your unique reading and writing needs. And then we'll meet together and I'll do teaching on reading and writing and we'll practice the speaking. I provide all the content, so the reading passages, the writing tasks, everything, any extra grammar you need or vocabulary, I'll provide it. I'll correct all your work, so you'll get individual feedback from me, and I will make sure that all 6 of you who join me are on track for the bands that you want. You'll be practicing every day, and then we will come together to practice as well. But what I ask you to do, if you join me, is you do the daily work. You turn up to the live sessions. It's important that you do that. And you follow the advice and the instructions and any extra material that I give you to help you, you do that. So, you know, you will be working with a plan regularly every day in the 6 weeks that we are together. And you'll take the exam with confidence, because we will talk about when you're ready to take the exam. And therefore, if you take the exam with confidence, knowing you can get those scores, your success in the exam is inevitable. Now, as I mentioned before, I've taken 20 students through this course in the last few years. And normally this course costs $700. But because I want to make it easier for you to say yes, I'm offering it at $500 for anybody who is in this session or watching this video, and they are interested in doing this and working with me. Then I want to make it as easy as I can. So it will be $500 for the 6-week course for anybody who steps up today or next week, whenever. And we get started on the 1st of March. Now, the only thing I'm asking you to do today is to book a call with me. So I'm not asking you to do anything else. If this resonates with you, if you think this is something I might want to do, if you think, yes, I'd love to be part of this, then all I want you to do is to book a call and speak to me. And I put, let me just check and see if it's there. I put, yeah, it's here. I put a link there where you can go and book a time on my timetable. And then we'll get together. We'll talk about your IELTS. We'll talk about your reading in particular. And then I can tell you more about the course. And if you want to join at that point, then I can let you know how you can do that. So I only want you to book a call with me from today's session. Okay. So you should book a call with me if you're taking the exam in the next 2 months, because this will be a real boost to your exam confidence and your exam scores. If you want to get band 8 in the reading or in anything else, then it's a good idea to speak to me. If you need help with the reading, if that's your nemesis, if that's the thing that's holding you back, or the writing, because remember, we will be doing writing as well. If you know already, as I'm speaking to you, that you want this and you want to be one of my IELTS heroes, then please, jump on there and book a call. I've got space in my diary all next week and for the Monday and Tuesday the week after. So there are plenty of slots there. If you can't find a suitable time, because I know some of you are in different parts of the world, all you need to do is send me a message and I will find a time to speak to you. If it's not on my timetable, there will be a time for everybody. And remember, I'm only looking for 6 people, so there's a limit to how many I can work with. Okay, now I want you to close your eyes and imagine something. Oh yeah, the calls are next week. So I want you to imagine how it feels on that day when you get your band in your IELTS. So think about how you feel on that day. I'm sure it'd be exciting. I have done this. I have had hundreds of students who have been in this position, who've passed their exam, who've opened that website and seen their results. And it's been really exciting. It's obviously been super exciting for them, but it's been exciting for me too, every time. And I've been doing it for over 25 years, and I still get a thrill whenever a student of mine gets their scores and they're on their way. It is such a wonderful feeling. And for them, obviously, it's life-changing. So you'll know that you can begin your course. You'll know that you can apply and get your visa. You'll know that that job that you're looking for is now yours. You can have it. You can start to make your preparations for your move. And you can begin your dream for your future. And you can also begin your dream for the future for your family too, because I know for a lot of people it's not just about you, it's about your children or your parents or your siblings. It's about much wider family than just you. And it will be very exciting on that day, and it's good to visualize it and good to imagine it. So now let's look at some realities as well. So this is from some students that I worked with recently. What is it costing you not to get this exam? Okay, approximately. I know it's different in different countries. Some people have taken it 10 times. Some people have taken it 25 times. I've had students who've taken it, probably the maximum was 12 times. That's a lot of money. Books. Those of you that have bought books, I had 2 students who told me they were swimming in IELTS books because they had bought so many. That's another cost. I had a student recently who traveled to India to take the exam. I think she was living in the US, and she traveled to India because she thought it would be easier to get her band if she took it in India. So that was a huge cost of an air flight. And I know other students who've had to move to another city to take it, and that's a hotel cost as well. So these costs can mount up. And so a total could be around $2,500 to take, you know, the exam until you get it. Wouldn't it be easier just to make sure that you get it the next time? But it's not just about the money, not at all. You're also losing time each time you don't get it or you have to postpone it. And if you're looking for immigration, every year adds points. Every year delays you getting on that master's degree or on that PhD or getting that, starting that job. And each year delays your dream. And sadly, there are some people who give up. So the choice is yours. You can click on the link, book a call with me. The call will be useful to you even if you decide you don't want to take the accelerator course, because we will go through some of the issues that you're having with your IELTS. So it's worth booking just to speak to me and see if you can. I mean, obviously, I'd love to have you on the course because I know I can help you. I've helped hundreds of students over the last 25 years, so I know how to do it. But it would still be worth having the call, even if in the end you decide, actually, it's not for me right at the moment. So book it, and then we'll discuss your unique IELTS situation. Or you can take everything I've shown you today about IELTS reading, and you can use that and figure it out by yourself, because I hope those techniques you'll be able to use yourself. So what happens if you do nothing? Well, actually, nothing will happen. You'll stay where you are. You'll be where you are today. But in the long run, there could be some implications. You'll have to wait longer before you get to whatever it is you're trying to do. You might lose your university place and have to reapply. You might not get your visa and have to reapply. And all of that, of course, is extra cost and extra time. And if you're already living in an English-speaking country and you're doing it to get your work visa, then you may have to go back home and do it again from there. All of this, again, wastes time and effort. And that job might go to somebody else. So it's important to get this sorted as soon as you can. And sadly, a lot of people give up and they decide it's just too difficult and they don't go ahead. But I want to tell you, it's not difficult. It's not difficult. It's just getting the right support, having the right plan, doing the right techniques, and doing the right practice. And there's no reason why anybody here cannot reach those bands given that kind of situation. Okay, so that's all I wanted to say. Let me come back in the room. So, has anybody got questions? Oh, okay, that's a really good question. Champions Club and IELTS Accelerator. Okay, Champions Club is a club. It's you join it on a subscription basis, and I have a weekly. You do have some study to do, but it's self-determined. So you check your own work basically, and then we meet every week, once a week. and we have a longer session once a month. So it's not as intensive. If you take the accelerator course, that is like a one-to-one course. So you'll be sending me your work directly. I will be correcting all of it. And then I'll be going through it with you when we meet online. So the meetings will be in a group, which is why I want to restrict it to 6, because I want everybody to have enough time to in those sessions to get individual attention. But your writing and your reading, I will be looking at individually, and I'll be sending back your results privately to you. I won't be doing that in the class. So the class will just be me teaching you techniques, looking at certain questions that are causing problems. But the Champions Club is a little bit more self-study, and it's more that you have to come to me with your questions, whereas on the IELTS Accelerator, I am the teacher and I'll be teaching you every day, every week. I hope that answers it. So the IELTS Accelerator from the 1st of March is $500 for 6 weeks. The IELTS Champions Club, if you join for a year, is $97. So it's a lot more, shall we say that, well, let me put it the other way. The IELTS Accelerator is very much hands-on. So I am your tutor, teacher, mentor. Okay. Any other questions? Let me go. Okay. Right, some people were having problems hearing. I hope that's all right. Hello, everybody. Yes, I'm well. Actually, I've just had flu, so I am a bit croaky. Okay, sorry you had to leave, but you can contact me. Oh, Monday's very short for your exam. I'm not a miracle worker, but hopefully good luck for the exam. Okay, I think those are all the questions. Yes, you can improve writing if you join the club, but you have to post it in the group. Whereas this, I will send you the questions and I will ask you to write it and send it directly to me. Any questions? If you have a question, you can raise your hand or post it in the box. I'll put the link in again for the booking a call. No questions. So what we say when there are no questions is it's either very clear or as clear as mud, which means not clear. No, nobody have it. Yes, okay. Let me find you and I'll unmute you. Can you unmute? Gopinder, can you unmute and ask me your question?
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Actually, it's not a very big question, just a simple thing I want to ask you. In the questions like yes, no, not given, can we just write Y for yes and N for no and NG for not given? I mean, can we just write abbreviations? Will it be marked?
I think so. No, I think you can. I think you can. As far as I know, you're not penalized for doing that.
Okay.
But does it take any longer to write yes or no?
In case for like it doesn't take much time to write the whole word. In case like in the last 1 minute, suppose we are making just a guesswork and we don't have much time to write the whole not given the whole word. So can we just write NG rather than leaving it empty?
As far as I know, you're not penalized, but let me just challenge you on if you haven't got much time, because the whole point of what I was saying is that if you manage the time, you will have time. So that for you, I would say, is your target, to make sure that you get that done in 50 minutes, 55 minutes, so that you have time. But as far as I know, you do not get penalized for just doing Y, N, N, G.
Okay.
It should be fine. It should be fine. But better manage your time so that you're not in that position.
Yes, yes, sure. Thank you so much.
Okay, that's all right. Right, Donut, can you unmute and ask me your question?
Yeah, thank you so much for you preparing this card. And I would like to argue about it. You say in the maybe the last or two slide, and you say like you have to regular practice, and you say we have to have a plan. So, and could you tell me a little bit about it? What is the plan?
A plan for reading. I mean, I think you should plan out your work anyway. I know a lot of students sort of wake up in the morning and say, right, okay, what am I going to do on IELTS today? Which is very random. And the thing about language learning is that it builds your skills. Any skill, if any of you have learned any skill whatsoever, let's say driving, riding a bicycle, all of these are skills. The more you do it, the better you become. Okay. And it's the same with language. So when you learn a language, you start with not being able to say very much at all, or not knowing a lot. And then as you start to practice, then you learn more words, you learn more sentences. So it's something that builds, you know, step by step. And so if you do it randomly, then you're going to have lots of gaps. So when I'm talking about having a plan, what I'm saying is every day know what you're going to do. So today I am going to do passage 1 reading, and I'm also going to do an introduction for my task 2 writing. So that's what I mean. Write it down, have a proper plan that you follow. And then when you finish doing that, you look at your passage 1 reading and you say, okay, I made 2 mistakes there. The mistakes were in yes, no, not given, for example. Therefore, I need to do more practice of yes, no, not given. I need to understand and work out or get advice on why I'm getting the wrong answer. So your plan will help you pinpoint areas where you're losing marks. But if you do it randomly and just say, okay, oh, this is a nice site, let's have a look at this today, then there's nothing joined up, you know, and so you're going to have gaps, you're going to miss things. So it's a good idea to have a weekly plan that you do at the beginning of the week. And in fact, I think if you look in the group, in the Facebook group, under the files, I have one there that you can just download.
Wow.
And use that.
Thank you.
I'll
So,
check and make sure it's there, but there should be one there that you can just download and use.
yeah, the group that you mentioned, what is the name of the group in Facebook, right?
You're in the group, aren't you? The what's it called? IELTS Band 7 and 8 Success.
Oh,
group.
maybe I want.
Yeah, you're
Okay.
a member. I'm sure you're a member.
Really? Thank you.
So, well,
Yeah.
I'll check. But I think you
Yeah.
are. Yeah.
Yeah. 7 to 9.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Okay. I understand of it. Thank you so much. Yeah, I will share that. Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. Anybody else got a question? Speak now or forever hold your peace, as they say in legal circles. Okay, so I hope everybody managed to get in. I didn't see anybody else waiting. Okay, so if nobody else has a question, then I'll wrap it up there for today. So please, use those techniques, practice them. Oh, Anne, you have a question. Unmute yourself.
Oh, yes, I have a question for the question about your German club. Yes.
About my what?
Champion club.
Oh, Champions Club, yeah.
I think I have the 3 questions. How much does this cost?
It's 97, I think, for a year. And at the moment, I can't remember how much it is for a month. I think it's $27 a month. So you can either join monthly and then keep renewing it, or you can just join for a year and have it for a year.
Yes, after the session, can you send the link with my club to me?
Okay, yeah, I can put that into the, I think it's in the group, but I'll make sure that link's available. Yes.
Yes.
But obviously, if people are doing their exam soon, if they want to do it in the next 2 months or 3 months, then to get more focused, then the accelerator course is more immediate, and it gives you better focus.
Actually,
on the next.
I think I have a good ability to self-study, and at the moment I have at least 1 year for IELTS preparation, and so I think it's a great
You've got a
option.
long time.
I
Yeah,
joined
if you've got a long time, then the Champions Club probably is a good option for you. But yeah, you can get your writing. You just post it in the group, and then if it comes when we're doing a session, then I'll do it in the session. But it's a little bit different from the accelerator, where I will be marking your writing every week.
Okay, I think it's very clear.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your question. Esmatullah, do you want to unmute yourself?
Hello, I hope
Hello.
you're healthy. Thank you, dear teacher, that you let me that I study in this class. I have some question about how can we get planning? I mean, weekly planning, and will you send us some plan that what should we do during the week, and how can we go ahead?
Okay, right. There are two answers to that. So first of all, anybody who signs up to the accelerator course and joins the accelerator course, you will have your weekly plan worked out. And you'll get that at the beginning. So it will tell you week 1, day 1, week 1, day 2, etc. That's all laid out, and you work through the material. If you're working by yourself and you want a plan to help you organize your self-study, then there is one in, I think, in the files, but I'll make sure it's there if it isn't. So when you go into the Band 7 and 8 Success Group, just look under files, and it should say, I think it's called Learning Plan or Personal Learning Plan, something like that. And it helps you to organize the tasks every day, so that you're doing listening, reading, speaking, and writing in equal measure. So you're not letting any part of the IELTS drop.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your question, Esmatullah? But if you are on either, if you're in the Champions Club, then there is a daily program, and it's laid out, tells you what to do every day. And if you're in the accelerator, then the same, it tells you what to do every day.
Okay, thank you. Thank you with your instruction. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're most welcome. Okay, anything else? Anybody else? No more questions? Well, I hope that that was helpful, particularly if you are having any issues around reading. So timing can be done by improving your skills and making sure you get higher scores in your answers. And reading was the one that was chosen. I offered, I think, 3 or 4 choices of topic, and reading was the one that was chosen. So if it's something else that you're finding holding you back, well, you know, you can always post a question in the group if it's writing or speaking, and I can give you advice on that. But please, I would love as many of you as possible to talk to me next week. And obviously, it would be wonderful to have you join my accelerator course. Okay, so I'll say goodbye. Have a wonderful weekend. and I hope to see you all in the group. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.